Hello everyone, here we go with another video. This one will be the different types of leagues and which league will be the best for you. So I just talk about the different leagues. And I'd like to thank my one follower, actually subscriber, right? Anyways, let's start. The first league we have is Rotisserie or Roto. And that is the most old school format. It's lost popularity to head-to-head leagues, and that's mainly because it's probably one of the least fun, I would say, types of leagues. Just because halfway through the halfway through the league, you know which teams are out of it. So 3 to 4 teams could be out at any given time halfway through the schedule. So it kind of leads to the league getting stale and people paying less attention. The way it works is you have a set number of categories and teams are awarded points on where they stand in that category. So if you rank first in home runs or runs or whatever in a 12-team league, you get 12 points. And so on and so forth. So the person who has the most points at the end of the year, cumulative between all the categories you guys choose, wins the league. And that means it takes more skill for drafting, and there's less luck in the league. So if that's what you're into, that would be the type of league you would like. Most leagues also put limits to pitching and at bats, so everyone gets about the same amount of at bats and innings pitched. But I know people like to save like one inning pitched and then throw out like 6 players the last day and try to win the counting stats categories like wins and Ks and stuff. So there's a way to manipulate it. Most people think it's kind of cheap, but it is within the rules. So that is Rotisserie. Next we have whoa. Don't get smaller. Next we have points leagues. So points leagues, they really should always be head to head, and basically you just try to outscore your opponent. So it's kind of like football in a way, and basketball has points leagues as well. But usually when you have high scoring games, people think they're funner for some reason because every day you're accumulating, more and more points. Instead of stats, you accumulate points, and points rack up faster. So you would set a scoring system for like a single would be 1 point and a double would be 2 points. Home run would be 4 with the RBIs, so that would be 5 or whatever amounts you guys have RBIs. But they also have it's also unfair for people when you have 2-star pitchers because wins can be huge because some wins are worth 5 points. I mean, some leagues have wins worth 5 points. So if they get 2 wins, a bunch of Ks, flawless peripherals, you're pretty much losing that week. You can also the good thing about these leagues is that you can deduct points as well. So Mark Reynolds is still gonna suck, and nothing's gonna help that. So you deduct points for Ks, and you could get pretty creative with it. You can deduct points for errors or whatever else you want. A pretty standard scoring system would be wins would be 10 points. What that? Steals would be 1 point. Caught stealing would be -1 point. Losses would be -5. Pitching Ks would be 1 point, and blown saves would be -2 points. So there you go. Those are points leagues. So if you're into points leagues and whatnot, there you go. The most standard way of drafting, these are a draft now, is a snake draft, and a snake draft is a reverse draft order every round. So the first round, team number 1, gets the very first pick, and in the second round they get the 10th pick, and in the third round they get the first pick again, and it's like that, so forth and so on and so forth. So if you're in a 10-team league like this league, the first overall pick would get picks number 1, 20, and 21. All right. If you were in a 12-team league, you get 1, 23, and 24. I think something like that. So that's basically what it is. It just snakes around. Fucking dogs. It just snakes around. Hopefully that isn't bugging anyone. It's fucking dogs outside. You can pick your drafts out randomly, or you can choose it. And what we like doing is choosing the draft order ahead of time, so people can start their strategies and whatnot. So you can do it by picking out a hat and or whatnot. This leads to equality in the draft order because it changes by round. So even though the first team gets the best player, they also don't get another pick till the 20th player. So they have an elite player, but they don't have what would be the word here? They don't have a couple of good players instead of one great one. So it depends on what you like. Some people like that elite player. Other people will take all the good players they can handle. It's also one of the best ways to draft in your first year of fantasy because it's so equal. You don't really need to do much research, although you should. But your first year, this will probably be the way most leagues go, just because it's so easy and it gets you into playing fantasy first and foremost, and that's a good thing. After that, you can do our next type of draft, which is auction, and this is by far my favorite type of draft because this is what we actually gravitated towards after we did snake drafts. So in my league, we do snake for football and auction for baseball. An auction draft is by far my favorite. So an auction draft, you get assigned an imaginary pool of money used to acquire your team. In Yahoo, it's $260. Everyone gets a shot at that player, but the player needs to be nominated first. So instead of a snake draft where you draft a player, instead of doing that, you just nominate the player, and then he just gets auctioned off to the highest bidder. This is good because it leads to more strategy where you have to manage your money. And I'll be doing strategies on this type of draft easily. And nominating gives other dimensions to strategy. So some people like to nominate players they don't like so that people can deplete their money and then nominate players they want, because you can end up getting those players for cheaper. One negative about this type of draft is it takes quite a bit to do. I mean, you can take anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 hours, so it depends on that. And it's not really recommended for casual fans. Because of the strategy, other fans could take advantage of you if you're not very, very into baseball. And if you don't study at all, you're probably going to get taken advantage of. Because some players that should be going for more money are going to end up going for $1. And people are going to have really good teams. So you should be doing your homework on this type of draft. It's also gaining popularity. I know a lot of people who do this type of draft, and it's by far the funnest type of draft you can do. And that is pretty much for auction drafts. So if you like having the opportunity to get any player, this is your type of draft. And if you like different layers of strategy, this is also for you. The next one we have is straight draft. This is the least common, but it's just like in the NFL, where the first pick gets the very first pick and the last pick gets the last pick. So if you're who's getting the first pick this year, I should know. If you were the sorriest team in the league, you get the first pick of the round every round. And as I was saying before I got cut off, so this works best in a dynasty keeper league, mainly because it has long-term competitive balance implications. That way, if a team is so good that they're winning the championship over and over, the last team should always get, the best players. It's also recommended if you have 2+ keepers, just because the competitive balance again. So if you keep winning if you win the championship, you get picked last. That's generally the case. Anyways, let's talk about the last two types of drafts. So we have a dynasty draft, and I know it's misspelled. I tried, and it's like all buggy. So a dynasty draft is basically, I would consider it the most hardcore type of fantasy in any sport, really. So in a dynasty draft, you're basically drafting your team for the rest of time, or as long as the league lasts. So as you can see here, we have Dave Schoenfield's rounds 1 through 10, and the very first player he drafts is Bryce Harper. So in a dynasty league, age really, really matters, because you're gonna have that guy, Bryce Harper here in this case, for the duration of his major league career. So the younger the guy is, the more you can have him. It's just like regular draft. Most people like drafting younger guys because they're gonna have them for a longer amount of time. So that's generally that's why I say it's so hardcore. You can still trade players, but just like a keeper league, you would probably trade a Bryce Harper type player for somebody that could help you win right now. That way, you're gonna get to keep that player that you trade for, but he's gonna make an immediate impact instead of a Bryce Harper type player that's gonna come up and have some slumps, have some bumps until he does become that player that you want. The last type of league is a keeper league, and in keeper leagues they start off as auction or snake drafts. And generally in these, you get to keep, depending on your league, you get to keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players until it becomes a dynasty league, of course. So I have Matt Harvey here, mainly because the year he broke out, he would have probably been kept by a lot of people. He might have still been kept through Tommy John by various people. But in those leagues, you usually every year that player's round goes up or down. So instead of him being worth a 10th round pick, the next year he might be worth a 5th round pick if he keeps doing good. That way it prevents people from keeping the player forever. Some people are going to want that player as well. In auction leagues, if you bought the guy for $40, it might go up by 10% every year. So if you get the guy for $1, the next year he might be worth $3, $2 or $3, and you still keep him, but each year is going to get progressively higher and higher, and to the point where you're going to have to think about if you want to keep that player. So it adds to another, it adds a little bit more strategy, because just like in dynasty leagues, here you would trade a guy who you can keep for less for a guy that can help you right now, even though you wouldn't keep that guy. So you'd trade a Bryce Harper type player for a Miggy because you want to win that year with Miggy, and you're going to trade away Bryce Harper for 1 to 3 years, depending on your league. So those are all the different types of drafts and rules and whatnot. Hopefully you liked the video. I would like to thank my 1 subscriber. I mean, it did feel a little good that he subscribed, and at least I hope he thinks I'm doing a good job. So hopefully more people subscribe. Makes me feel good. I will be trying to finish up my player profiles this week, so stay tuned for that, mainly because after this week, if I finish my player profiles, I could start doing stuff like value picks, mock drafts and whatnot, and then I can get into like the real strategy behind prior to you drafting, and that's where I really enjoy fantasy. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoy the video. Hopefully it's very helpful. Hopefully a lot of people get into fantasy and subscribe and watch the videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and keep on keeping on, I guess.